Welcome to From the Halls of Justice. Good Monday evening, afternoon, depending upon where you are in the city. Thank you for joining us today. Our special guest today is Judge Rudolph Diaz, and we are going to be talking about a child's voice. It's something that he's so passionate about, and we are so honored to have him here. The two special guests that I have on the show, along with Judge Diaz, because I needed some help for all this powerful information we're going to expound upon you today, is Michael Kretzmer. He's a certified family law specialist, and he deals with these matters all the time. And we are so honored to have you. And tell us, how long have you been in practice?
Well, I've been in practice about 32 years, and about 25 of those years I've been involved in the juvenile dependency court and handled something like 3,000 plus cases. So I've been around for a while and known Judge Diaz for quite a number of years now.
Oh my God.
Both in the family court and a juvenile court.
That's absolutely awesome. Now, the beautiful lady on the show today is someone that I am very, very impressed with. This is Lauren Petkin. And Lauren Petkin, she graduated with honors from the University of Berkeley, and she is with the Law Office of Kolodny Law Group. It used to be Kolodny and Anto, and now it is Kolodny Law Group, and she has been listed in the super lawyers from 2006 to 2015.
Yes.
Pretty and smart. Love it. Well, we are going to start our show off and with our certified family law specialist, and you take over interviewing the Honorable Judge Rudolph Diaz.
Judge Diaz, it's so good to see you.
The pleasure is mine.
Don't get to see you enough.
No.
How long have you been back over in juvenile dependency now?
I'm in my 5th year. I was in family law for 4, and before that I was in delinquency for 7.
Now, a lot of people don't understand that the juvenile court is actually split into 2 different branches, correct?
Correct.
Maybe you could explain a little bit about how that works.
The juvenile division is broken into dependency and delinquency. As I said, I was in delinquency for 7 years, and we are dealing with children who have been charged with misbehavior, some of it pretty serious stuff, criminal, and but some of those kids really did not belong there. They were better off in the dependency side, and that's the side that I've been working on now for the last 5 years almost. In fact, what we have is a protocol called the 241 protocol, and whenever there's a child who's a dependent and the child is involved in some misbehavior, there may be a petition filed on the delinquency side, but there'll be coordination between the probation department and the social workers and the attorneys to try to determine what are the best available resources to help this child before it's too late. As we've seen over the years since I was last in delinquency, and that's been about 15 years, we've seen a significant decrease in delinquency filings. On the other hand, we've seen a significant increase on the dependency side as well, which I think is an appropriate observation, because we should be working to keep these kids out of the criminal element. We used to send a significant amount of children to the Youth Authority, California Youth Authority, CYA as it's referred to, and it was a complete failure. It was, we saw that while I was there, drop significantly down, and now, as I say, most of the focus has been on providing services to these children and to help steer them in the right direction.
Why do you think there's been that big decrease in cases that are filed in the juvenile delinquency courts these days?
Well, it may be. Well, I would say that it's the change of emphasis. You see it on the adult side as well. You know, we decriminalize a lot of narcotics offenses, and the kids get into the system because of drugs as well. So rather than thinking that incarceration was going to solve these kinds of issues, I think people have become more educated. We've evolved, and now it focuses on treatment and rehabilitation.
One of the common sayings that I've heard over the years is that Los Angeles County has more children in foster care and under the jurisdiction of the Juvenile Dependency Court than all of the other courts and all the other counties in California have under their jurisdiction. Do you have any idea whether that still is pretty accurate?
I think that's pretty accurate. I last looked, and that was just a few hours ago. We had over 27,000 children in our dependency system. That represents about over 14,000 cases. And there can be as one child, and we've seen as many as 10, 11 children in one case as well, coming from the same family. So, we're the largest county. We're over 10 million in this county. We're the inner city, and there's always a high crime rate as well, and other issues. So you would expect that kids will be coming into LA County. So I don't know exactly if that's accurate, but it's got to be. I don't doubt it.
I would think that Los Angeles probably has the largest juvenile court system itself in the world. I know people talk about Los Angeles County's court system being the largest in the world with a budget of almost $900 million a year and over 5,000 employees. You're handling a lot of kids. How do you make sure that the kids get the services they need when you've got 27,000 kids to handle?
Well, I think you have really, again, evolved into a system that focuses on services. I don't know the exact number of social workers that we have, but I know it's pretty significant. And a lot of the other counties, when they can, they will try to transfer a case to our county, where we do have a lot more services available than the other counties. We have developed an outreach and networking with many community organizations, and one of the things that is involved, and it's been around for a while, is a group called CASA, which stands for Court-Appointed Special Advocate. And I'm so used to just saying CASA, I have to think about what the letters stand for. In LA County, there's about 900 such advocates. I'm sorry, they have 900 of the cases are being serviced by CASA. It's such a great system. I happen to have been a foster parent many years ago, so I had an opportunity to work with a CASA. So I know them intimately, and so now I work with them, and I have a lot of respect for what they do and a lot of trust in what they do. And they have the opportunity, and this is a volunteer group, and these people will put in a lot of time and effort, and there's some emotional involvement as well after you get to know these children. And these children they're usually the more serious cases that require a little more attention, and they get so involved with them, they encourage them in many different ways.
What do they do?
Well,
since you can volunteer.
Some of it is they almost act like another parent. They have foster parents and who are making their efforts to help these children. All the children we're talking about pretty much are in foster care. Some are maybe too old for serious consideration for adoption, and so it's a question that they're going to be with us for a long time, and maybe until they're 18 and maybe beyond that. But they're helping them with the more serious. Some of the issues may be mental health, making sure that they get these services. Some of them may be having some serious academic issues, and some of these may have health issues. So they will help these children. They get to know them. They can build trust. A lot of these kids know they're in the system, and they resent it. They feel a stigma, especially when they're in school and they know that they're treated. The other kids go home to parents, and they go home. Period.
These sound like special needs children.
Well, in a way, they're special need. We do have an idea of special needs, but this is a little broader than special. They are special needs, but it's a little broader than that as well.
Around the age when people love children. I love children.
Mhm.
But do you find around what age do they not become, oh, they're so cute, I want to take you home? What children of what age are we dealing with? Like 12 and above or
Oh,
15 and above?
We're talking about much younger. I mean,
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, what is considered old in the system is 4 or 5 years old.
No.
They get harder and harder to adopt because people who want to adopt want infants, babies, and that's not absolute, because there are situations where a foster care parent over time, because very emotionally attached and doesn't want the child to go anywhere else, and since the priority in our system is adoption over legal guardianship and then long-term placement, they don't want to let go of the kid, and they've got a bond, they've got a parent-child relationship, and so they'll change their mind. But for the most part, when the child becomes 4 or 5 years old, it's considered a little bit old for purposes of adoption.
Oh my God.
So these casas, I've seen them. The youngest child that I can think of is probably about 8 or 9 that is being assisted by casa. One interesting case involved a 10-year-old girl who just became obsessed with eating, and she just really, lost control of her eating ability, and so she was in foster care, and it was just something that the foster parent couldn't handle. So we appointed this casa who got more involved and they only have a few cases, which is great, maybe 3 or 4 kids that they have to focus on. Whereas social workers, they have, I don't know, maybe got 500-600 cases each or more. So they have more time, and the child knows that at least perceives this person as not being part of the system, but a volunteer and there to help. So the relationship is different, and it proves to be very, very effective.
I think it's kind of interesting because CASAs not being social workers, not being employed by the county, being volunteers, there have been some wonderful CASAs who go above and beyond and spend the time trying to find services for some of the kids. We consider all the kids in juvenile court special, but their ability to really focus on a family or just a small group of kids really is helpful to those children.
And one other concern is that stability. Social workers
Come
get
and
moved
go.
around, and they leave, and even attorneys leave. But the one consistent factor in their life is going to be the CASAs. Some of these CASAs stick around for a long time, and as I say, they're almost raising these kids in a way. They're not required to spend any money. And the children are told, don't expect them to spend money on you. They're just here to help you. But I'm sure some of them will be on that as well. But they have someone stable in their life who is, quote, not part of the system, but is really there to help them get through their issues. And when you're 10 years old, it's really hard to grasp those concepts. And you got just growing up issues, especially when you're a teenager. Growing up is a problem for all teenagers, no matter what your economic or your family background is. Just always a problem. So.
Do you need special training or background to be a CASA?
CASAs have their own program, and yes, they do have special training, and they gradually move in, but they have rules, and they have, like I said, they have training, and they know what they're doing. I think they're doing a super job.
Are there cases, Judge Diaz, where are there certain kinds of cases that seem more appropriate for CASAs and some kinds of cases where a CASA just isn't useful?
Well, I can't think of any kind of case that where it doesn't work. It's just a matter of priority. There's only, as I said, there's like 350 CASA volunteers in LA County, handling about 900 children, and so it'd be great to have CASAs for all these children, but you have a limited amount, and so that it's a matter of prioritizing where they're going to be placed. So and some of these kids, I say, are just lost. They're rebellious. They don't know where to go. They want to go home, with their mother, father, but they know that's not a reality. Mom and dad are not ready to have them back. Maybe now, maybe never. Maybe there are some medical issues. Maybe some of them are migrants as well, and you know their parents are long deported, long out of their lives, and now they're just here and they're just totally lost in the system here. So the CASA gives them that stability.
If someone wanted to be a CASA, how could they get in touch with somebody or volunteer
Well, I
to
think
participate?
maybe we have the number. We can give it to them. Did you?
Yeah.
Let me take this
think
from
we
Is
here.
it
might
on the
have it
pamphlet?
available.
Yeah, there is a number that.
Where's
First
the
of all, they have a
code?
website. It's www.casala.org, and the number is where did I get
It
it?
was on the back.
Did you see it?
On the back.
Oh, there it is.
Okay.
All right, the main office number is 323-859-2888, and they're looking especially for Spanish speaking,
Sure.
minority individuals who can, quick to relate to the children.
And what's the number again, in case they had to get a pencil to write it
Okay.
down?
323-859-2886.
2888.
2888. Thank you.
Okay.
And there's a number in Antelope Valley as well. And
Okay.
let me read that one. 661
Mm-hmm.
723
Mm-hmm.
CASA.
Oh.
2272.
Okay. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, Judge Diaz, we've talked some now about the numbers of kids who are in foster care, and we've talked about the need for CASAs, and but what happens at the end of foster care? As children begin to age out, we just throw them onto the street, or
Well,
what are we
that's-
doing?
That's what they used to do almost. I've been on the bench now for about 35 years. And
You look marvelous.
I started young. That helps to do that too.
First 12-year-old judge in Los Angeles.
The only 12-year-old judge. I remember reading the report from the Board of Supervisors from here in LA County about what happens to kids when they age out from the dependency system. And they were more likely to be homeless, to be on drugs, to not finish high school, to end up incarcerated.
Wow.
And you keep adding those issues like incarceration. Almost 70% of people who go to jail will be back in jail within 2 to 3 years. So it's pretty hopeless. Pretty hopeless situation. So over time, the courts and the system and people who all work together have developed a way to keep them in the system a little bit longer. And only recently did they actually codify this idea. In 2010, AB 12 became law, and AB 12 is basically the extends foster care for children. And there's a lot of great benefits, but besides the obvious is that the children don't have to leave. It used to be you turn 18, they give you $200, and you're on your own. And
Wow.
these kids, especially who have been in, and sometimes they've been in foster care almost all their life, and just they were, just tots. And that does happen. There's a lot of things that happen. Even adoptions break down, and things. The kids act up, never get the right treatment, so they end up back in the system. They can leave it and come back. So, but almost all their entire life has been in the foster care system. So now we have 18-year-old kids, and even 18-year-old kids who come from good families and never been in foster care struggle to make decisions. They struggle to do the right things in terms of college and staying out of trouble as well. So these kids are very, very vulnerable to all these kinds of situations. So AB 12 allows a kid, we call them non-minor dependents, to remain in the system until they're 21. It's a great thing. Right now, I think we have about 1,200 in the county who have opted into it, and it's voluntary. So, and what it does is, one of the things I see is that it gives the young person the opportunity to make a decision. I'm going to stay in the system, or I'm not going to stay in the system. and some of them have rejected it, and they've gotten out of the system. We've closed their case, but they're entitled to apply to come back, and many of them are doing that, and I'm glad to see that. I welcome them back, and I encourage them, and as long as they are living in an appropriate living situation. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's not as if they're being with kids, and as long as it's just an appropriate situation. Some of these kids are in college, and it's helping them get paid through their way through college as well. And they are either going to school. Some of them have not gotten their high school education yet, so they need to do that, or they need to be working. So even if you opt not to go to school, if you are working, and 18-year-olds trying to get a good job, decent job, just can't simply go and get an apartment. So they need financial assistance, and the oversight for these children is not as great as foster kids under 18 years of age. And these kids want to get out of the system, and they can't wait to turn 18. But the realities are, you're just not ready. You're just not ready, unless you are. And if you are, and some kids will do it and go out on their own. But there are many who are just not ready to do it on their own. So once they've made the commitment, they realize it's time to grow up. It's time, start getting my act together, either with academically or with a job. And I still have some support. We can still provide them services, like whether it's counseling services, mental health, or other things like that. I don't know too many non-minor dependents, as we refer to them, who have CASA assistance, but I don't see why not. I don't see why they wouldn't be eligible if that's what they wanted. But most of the time they don't need it. I think so it seems to be. But anyway, it's a wonderful thing that I used to. I think that's when I started thinking about the system. Is when I read that memo that was sent out by the Board of Supervisors, and I wasn't, as a municipal court judge, which is what I was at the time. I wasn't able to handle these kinds of cases, and the day that we merged in the year 2000, I jumped into the juvenile system. I just called up and said, somebody gave me an assignment in the juvenile, and that's where I started. That's where I've been pretty much since we merged in 2000.
I think that is awesome, and I would like to encourage everyone in our audience and the community, and to become a volunteer. I mean, if you're someone like me, if you have no love life and you love to work, and if you love to shop, curb your shopping habit and volunteer. Once again, the number in Los Angeles is 323-859-2888. Once again, 323-859-2888. And the Antelope Valley was area code 661-723-CASA, C-A-S-A. And Judge Diaz, I think that you are absolutely wonderful for bringing this to our attention. I know that recently my heart I love children, and I've been blessed recently to have 3 of the most beautiful girls keep me company for a little while over the summer. And children, sometimes they don't have a say in what's going on in their life. And it's really, really important to make sure that they're stable, that they know that they're loved, that people care, and they have a wonderful mother. These are wonderful girls. And I'm sure their father, absolutely great. Not available, but great. And but these children, their hearts are so pure, so sweet. And thank God, with my schedule and what you're juggling around, these kids, they go to school, they read their books. Thank God for after-school programs. And so by the time I get to see them, you feed them a little dinner. They're so grateful. You have conversation, and they feel like someone is listening. You put them to bed. You got to get up earlier the next morning, but it's really worth it. I've saved a lot of money from shopping. But it does your heart. It feeds your soul. It really feeds your soul.
Well, it gives people an opportunity to help a child be a child.
Yes.
These children are missing out a lot on good childhoods, because they're involved in the court system. They're involved in all these issues when they're with the parents, or even when they're no longer in it. And they still have to come. They don't feel normal because they're part of the system, and they can't wait to get out. And I don't blame them when they're nearing 18 and they want to go on their own. But many times they're just not ready, unfortunately.
Well, I think this is marvelous. We've got 2 minutes and about 30 seconds here. So I would like to just take a moment again and thank Mr. Kretzmer for being here.
You're welcome.
You took time out of your busy day, and you know what's so fabulous about this is that I gotta be honest with you. Between the Honorable Judge Diaz and between yourself and Lauren Petkin, I could never afford to talk to any of you people. So thank you for being here. The community thanks you. We thank you for giving up your time, and you're all here voluntarily, and I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. You're absolutely wonderful. And you're located, your offices are in, go ahead, I want to give you a plug. You're in Santa Monica?
I'm on Santa Monica Boulevard over in Century City.
Okay. Well, we know you're at the Superior Court. And
I am there.
and Lauren, you are located
I'm
in
in
Beverly
Beverly
Hills. So close enough to West Hollywood, we're good.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
But I want to thank you all for being here and giving such your hearts and your time to the community.
Well,
It's fabulous.
thank you for bringing us together too. We haven't seen him for a little bit, and I've always enjoyed working with him. And thank you for being here. Nice to also.
I
meet you,
know,
Lauren.
nice to see you, and Wanda, thank you for
Judge
inviting
Diaz
me.
is one of the people who's, when he's on the bench, you know he loves what he's doing.
Absolutely.
I do.
And that's not a quality that is displayed by everyone.
Absolutely.
And so it's always been very refreshing to be in your courtroom.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And I know it's going to continue for many years to come.
Well, I can't think of anything better I'd like to do right now. I love to play golf, but but I'm not that good that I need to be out there every day. So I like what I do too.
Now, okay, we got 53 seconds. Am I allowed to tell a well, it's not a secret, but it's an interesting situation. Is anybody married sitting here?
Well, Lauren and I actually began our relationship in the media. We used to do a show on the Anaheim Angels radio station, KWACC.
Men's Dugout.
Men's
Oh my
Dugout on
God,
Sunday
fabulous.
mornings before the Angels games for a couple of years, which was a sports show, and we would cover topics of interest to people such as child support and custody cases and things. But we spent time also speaking to various figures in the sports world.
Awesome.
Climbers,
lot
baseball
of
players,
fun.
golfers, football
Good.
players,
Great-
you name
Great
it.
opportunity.
And so we had a lot of fun. So.
Great.
Well, join us next week. I'm going to learn how to take a sports class. I got to learn. I know all about
There you
shoes.
go.
I know nothing about sports. Join us from the halls of justice. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
it.
Thank you.
Wanda.
Thank you.
Yes.
Nice working with you folks.
Okay. What a
Thank
pleasure.
you, Judge Diaz. This program is